about things that are going on at Commitment Mortgage and opportunities for you to save yourself some headache and save your clients some money. So, go out.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Admittedly, I'm a little bit nervous right now. This is a lot of people. Good news is that I know most of you, so if I don't know you, then I want to know you. There's a quote here. Does anyone know who Michael Meidler is? He's the CEO of an inferior real estate company. It's the Century 21 CEO. But I think it's a good quote, and so while I'm going through this, I just want you guys to kind of think about how the way that I'm going after value for my clients can tie into the way that you guys are delivering value for your clients. And I just want to talk about some of the new changes that we've been making, some of the new programs that we've been able to roll out, especially over the last few months at Commitment. And so again, just keep in mind how we can really deliver a higher level of service, and we have a lot of perks that are built in, not only for us at Commitment, but really for you guys as well, our partners at Carpenter. So this kind of goes through a little bit of what I want to talk about. There's 4 key pieces. Realistically, there's a lot more that I could share on, but I want to talk about our buy now, sell later programs through our partnership with Fly Homes, and we'll talk more about how that can get you out of contingency clauses and having to place contingent offers. Then I want to talk about our built-in mortgage rewards. Have you guys heard about Build Rewards? Does that company ring a bell? Okay. We'll talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about our free 1% buy down that we're offering all the way until the end of June. That's something that we're really excited about. We're doing that on essentially every single loan right now, a full 1% reduction on any deal that we lock through the end of June, so that's pretty exciting. And then what I am personally most excited about is the last piece. We'll talk about how we are one of the few companies right now that's able to compare Vantage scores to FICO scores totally for free, and it's all built into our process. A little bit of a market update here for you. And long story short, you guys have probably seen a lot of headlines. I think there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty right now about what's going to happen next and how some of the geopolitical stuff is going to affect things. In my view, we're kind of in for a lot more of the same, it seems like. Rates have kind of come down a little bit at the start of the year. I know that we pay a lot of attention to that, but we're in a really good market right now to sell on value. Where we're not competing with who has the lowest rate, we're trying to compete more on who has the best service. And I fully believe that we're able to support you guys with the best service at Commitment, and I think that you guys are the best agents in Indiana. So that's something else to kind of keep in mind as we go through this. So first I want to talk about the contingency clause piece. Again, this is a partnership that we have through Fly Homes. We have already had outside agents approach us asking for this service because of losing deals due to contingency clauses or because of losing deals to competition. And a very general overview of how this works. On the Fly Homes website, and anyone here can visit the Fly Homes website. On the next screen I have a QR code. They have a great website where you can go in, or we can go in as your loan officer, and we can essentially type in a scenario, and I'll show you what that looks like. And they're going to get in contact with us, or they're going to get in contact with you, and they're going to break down which of these 3 routes is going to make the most sense for your customer. It's extremely easy. I think we have our 4th deal that we're working on closing right now. And those are deals that we would have otherwise lost to either competition or that borrower would have been sidelined ultimately due to not having enough income or not having enough liquid assets on hand. So those are the real world issues that we're able to get around very quickly by using this. So up top here, the first route that they can go through is the guaranteed backup contract. This is for borrowers who are just struggling with income. So they're leaving their residence, they still have a mortgage payment, and they're struggling qualifying for a new loan, or they're having to buy less house than they want to or would otherwise afford just because of that DTI problem and having to wait for that departing residence to sell. We would come in, place a backup contract, and it eliminates that DTI or it eliminates their housing payment from their DTI calculation. It's extremely quick, super easy. If you need a little bit more help, if you have an issue, let's say with your income, and you don't have enough assets on hand to make that full down payment, we can take equity out of the departing residence. In just a few days, we're able to close on that, and that way you can have that liquidity moving into your new house to make the down payment, and we will also remove their mortgage payment from their DTI calculation. So that's kind of level 2 if you want to think about it. Level 3, this is our cross-collateralization product, which this is the one that we've done a few of now, where we're essentially looking at the equity they have in their departing residence, the equity that's going to be in the purchase residence, and based on that equity amount, we will lend them the amount of cash to make a full cash offer. So especially if you guys are in a more competitive market, if you're challenging with your deals not being quite strong enough, or if you're running into any of the other issues we've talked about, that is a great way to make a super strong offer. And this company moves very quickly, at least in our experience so far. So there's multiple routes that we can use, but at the end of the day, if you guys have questions or you can think of a buyer who's in that situation, get in touch with me or get in touch with your commitment contact, which is me. And very quickly, again, very easily, we can determine what's going to make the most sense. It's not always going to make sense, or it's not always going to be possible, depending on their equity position, but we at least owe it to our customers to figure out if there is a route that could make things easier. This is the QR code that takes you to their website. It's a little bit blurry, I know, but this just shows you kind of how you can go in. There's a full calculator in there. There's a whole page for real estate agents. There's a page for loan officers. They have marketing support. They can help you guys market. So it really is a fantastic website and super easy to use. But once you go and fill this out, it just takes a few minutes, and you're putting in, how much the house is worth, how much down payment they have, what they're trying to do. It will literally spit out different options and show you. This would be the full cash offer. This would be if you're taking out equity. And it'll break down with the amounts, the rough costs on that, what it's going to look like. And it also goes through and kind of calculates how much they can save potentially. So it gives you, or it really gives me more of a weapon to be able to talk through that value with the customer and really break that down. This is just showing you the guaranteed backup contract and what that looks like. So super excited about the Fly Homes partnership. Again, if you guys have customers that are in that situation, or maybe you just have a deal that's stressing you out because of these things, we can find routes to make that a lot easier for you and the client at the end of the day.
So right now we've got the listing challenge going on. How could this benefit our listing agents?
In a lot of ways. You're talking about the fee?
No, I'm talking about, so if they get a buyer that comes to buy the listing, if a cooperating agent brings the buyer and the buyer is contingent, could they present this to the other agent to give them an opportunity to buy non-contingent?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Well, we've had a couple of situations like that already. I mean, real quickly, since we're in the listing challenge, the thing to think about is that, if somebody comes in and does a contingent offer on your property, on your listing, and then somebody tries to buy theirs contingent, then we can't take an offer. So we've had situations where listing agents have said, hey, if you really want to buy the house, do it non-contingent. Here's my commitment partner. Here's some material that show how to do that. So just want to make sure you're thinking about this in a listing environment as well, so that when somebody does bring that contingent offer, you can present this and, hopefully they'll buy it non-contingent so you can move forward.
And again, this is something that we're not really seeing a whole lot of other lenders offering right now. So,
could you go back to the QR code for just a second?
Yeah.
Do you have a flyer for that that you can give to other agents?
Yeah, and I can help you guys out with that if you send me an email. And also, like I said, on the website, they have a lot of marketing material on there. They have booklets and flyers and downloadable PDFs. So it's a great resource, but let me know if you're looking for any of that material. This is...
Hey, Randy.
Yeah.
We can send the flyer for this out to the admins, can we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get it out to all of you.
So this is just a piece on Build Rewards. So if you haven't heard of Build Rewards, they have been in the rental space for a long time. And what it is it allows you to earn points towards just making rental payments. So for the first time ever, Built has entered the mortgage space and is partnered with our primary partner in UWM. So not only are we going to have the option to service every single client, and it is a great servicing platform, the servicing platform is actually going to be married into Built Rewards. So we're expecting a lot of really cool changes with this. Last week I was able to be in a presentation where I got to see the CEO of Built Rewards talk. He talked about some of the new changes that they're going to be rolling out. But there's opportunities here if we're servicing more loans, especially if the level of customer service is better with that servicing, that we can further generate referrals. And obviously, all the business that we're able to go out and get, that is business that we want to send to Carpenter. We don't want to send that to any other real estate companies. For instance, you've probably heard of how mortgage statements sometimes will advertise for you. They do a good job of that, putting our headshot on their mortgage statements, as well as our contact information. There was one cool thing that I wanted to touch on with this, just to kind of paint a picture of how this can be a benefit. I had a borrower that closed a couple weeks ago, and they're going to be servicing using Built as their platform to make their payment. I'll be able to go in, there's a lender side of this, and I can go in and look, and using my partnership points that I earn with them, I can actually provide incentives to those borrowers. So for instance, if you have a client, let's say, or I have a client whose anniversary is coming up, an example of how I can use that is, I can talk to them and happy anniversary like I would, and let's say they're going out to dinner. They have such a huge network of partnership companies that I can send them a drink to their dinner table through that restaurant, and it'll say, happy anniversary from Alex and Rusty, and they'll shout out your agent partnership too, have that first drink on us. So that's just kind of to paint a picture, and there's a lot more stuff that they're rolling out with that. But those are benefits that are truly built into the process that we're utilizing. And at the end of the day, that benefit, that service, it reflects positively on everyone here and all of our partners. Does anyone have any questions on that one? Awesome. So 1% rate buydowns, show of hands, have we all heard about this? Or have you heard this mentioned? Okay, most of us. So it's really what it sounds like. Any deals that we lock through the end of June, we are offering them a free reduction in interest rate of a full 1%. So again, to talk about rates a little bit, right now, the market's really in the mid to high 6% range for most of our qualified buyers. That's typically what you're going to see right now for conventional deals. FHA is a little bit lower, obviously. What we're doing is we're offering them that full 1% reduction for months 1 through 12 of their mortgage. This is a great way for no cost to absolutely blow our competition out of the water. There's no one offering this right now, so we're very excited about this. This is a real example that I priced out yesterday for a client. And just to show you an example, this is a larger loan amount, but they qualify for a 6.625. They're well qualified buyers. It's a large loan amount. Just by buying down that rate for 1%, that's going to save them $450 a month on their payment. That's going to add up to $5,400 of savings, payment savings in their first year. And that actual buy down cost would typically be $6,000. That's something that we can always do. We don't see it a whole lot because in this market, it's an expensive product. So you don't see a whole lot of that. But to be able to offer that for free is pretty amazing. We're really excited about it. At the end of that first year, their rate would go right back to where it was. So you're never behind. You're never losing out on a rate that you would have had. You're not giving up that rate to go down to a temporary lower rate. You're just going down to the temporary lower rate, and it's all covered by our company. The idea with this, and the way that I'm kind of presenting this, is obviously we're watching the markets as lenders. If we see the market rate dip below this level, then these customers are going to be lined up for a refinance down to that lower rate. And again, they never would have lost out on any opportunity costs of going with a normal rate when we're buying it down like that. So I just want you to think, how many buyers do you have right now that would really be upset if you offered them a free payment reduction? Probably none of them, I would hope. If they don't care, I want to meet them.
So I got a question on that. So let's say that at their sixth payment, and they're at 6.625, and let's say it drops down to 5%, and they refinance with for 5%, so would that drop them down also to like 4% for the remaining 6 months for the 1%?
Once you refi out of it, you're out of it.
Okay.
So in this example, Jim, if they qualified for a 6.625 in month 5 or 6, they'd be down to a 5.65. They'd be down at that lower rate, and that's a fixed rate. But once you refinance, you're going to refinance to wherever the market is. So you don't have to refinance it. I'm just saying that's a way that I'm kind of looking to have that conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Anyone have any other questions on that?
So like with the typical 2-month, 3-month buy down, that 6,100 for the 1-year buy down, if they refinance mid-year, you could use some of those funds that are still remaining that you're not pulling yet to do the refi, or does it not work that way with you?
It's just a credit. It's just a free credit that we're giving them.
Okay.
So it's not like,
It's a one-time credit.
it's really not even like real money that's in the deal. It's just, this is their cost, it'll show up on their loan estimate, and then it'll say credit from the lender, and we'll just cancel out that cost. So it's not going into like I don't think it's being escrowed or anything.
Okay, that was my question.
So normally, Jen, it would be their money that they could credit, but since this is lender paid, if they refinance out of it, then the money's just gone.
It's just like a general credit on this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, on that point, if you're at that lower rate, it's probably not going to make a whole lot of sense just to make an assumption to refinance it super quickly. You're going to want to keep that lower rate because you're going to be competitive, probably through that full first year. So just to touch on what we've talked about, these first 3 pieces, and the definition of differentiator up there, and again, that's what I want you to be thinking about. These are some of the ways that Commitment's able to make a difference, and these might seem like small things, but the reality is there's a ton of small things we have, and when you add up all the small things, it starts to build a real edge and a tangible edge that we've already been able to see. With the buy down, with our mortgage rewards, and with these new Fly Homes products. But I want to talk about one other piece that, like I said, I'm extremely jazzed about. And this is the Vantage. Are we serious right now?
What feels up?
I just got too excited.
While he's getting that up, I want to just share real quick. When you look at the buy down, what this will address is if you've got clients that were thinking rates were going to move down this year and maybe they're waiting or they think it's going to change, this is a great way to overcome that objection. The other piece is if you've got somebody that has a payment objection, maybe their payment's going up higher than they really want. Another way to overcome their payment objection, if you have somebody that has income that normally goes up each year and the initial payment is something they're a little bit concerned about, this is a great way to overcome that because if you say, well, don't tell me how often you get a increase in your income, this lowers it for that first 12 months. So there's a lot of opportunity to use this product to help overcome a variety of different objections if you put it in the right context. And again, it's free money. We would almost be negligent. Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say you are negligent if you don't present this to your client. Because it's free money that they'd be losing if you don't.
Got any more to share there, Randy?
Be careful what you ask for, Alex.
Oh, wait. Where'd that one go?
We did one of these for the region, and they had them present. They spoke for 3 hours.
You're worse than Ted.
Yeah.
Ted can fit a whole 30 minutes.
Well, but my
talking
3
about-
hours was planned. And it was a lot of different Well, yeah. But it was something. I have 41 years doing this and owning a real estate company, and there's a lot of different things that I coach to and teach to. So Holly asked me to come in and present. So when I did the 3 hours, about 6 months later, she said, "Can we come in and do some more topics?" I said, "I think 3 hours is a little long. Maybe we should reduce it to 2 hours." So I did 2 hours the next time.